Hello boys, girls, gays, and squirrels. Pearl! Welcome back to my channel and welcome to my very first monthly wrap-up! This month I actually read enough books to warrant doing a wrap-up, so I'm gonna pretend I'm a booktuber. Where was I? I'm pretending I'm a booktuber because I read enough books this month to warrant doing a monthly wrap-up. I read a total of 7 books this month and I gave 3 of them 5 stars. So it was a pretty solid reading month, let me just tell ya. The first book I read this month was in the lovely state of Florida, sitting poolside with not a Bloody Mary, a mimosa, that's the word. Sitting poolside with a mimosa, reading Zebra Forest by Adina Gortz. And I just looked up her name and listened to her pronounce it like 5 times, and I'm sorry if I mispronounced it. I did not enjoy this book that much. I finished it. I got kind of into it, only because I was like, I'm reading this and I want to know what happens in the end, so I'm just gonna keep reading it. But it was like thoroughly disappointing. It follows this girl and her brother who live with their grandma in a house on the edge of the forest. A fugitive escapes from the prison on the other side of the forest and breaks into their house essentially and holds them hostage. It sounded interesting enough, just the execution of it wasn't anything special, to be honest. I didn't find anything that amazing, breathtaking. But a lot of people were like, this should be a required reading for school, and I'm like, I think there's a lot of better required readings. So it wasn't the best start to the reading month, but it only got better. The next book I read was not disappointing at all. At all. And I was worried that it would be, because I thought there was maybe a little too much hype around it. I was like, oh, I don't know what to expect fully, and I was absolutely blown away, and that is My Dark Vanessa by Kate Elizabeth Russell. Absolutely f***ing amazing. I'll be honest, I'm not the pickiest when it comes to my 5-star reviews. This book was so freaking amazing. It was 300 something pages. I finished it in one day because I could not put it down. I read on the plane. I don't read on planes. I get plane sick. I get motion sick so easily, so I never read on planes. I literally could not. I finished this book waiting for the baggage. I was like, I can't put this down. It follows a young woman named Vanessa. Well, it follows Vanessa in 2 different timelines. Vanessa when she was 15 and in a relationship with her teacher, and Vanessa 17 years later, so she's 32, following after the trauma occurred. It is so heartbreaking, so well written. If you're triggered by any of the things that I'm flashing on the screen real quick, don't read it, because it's not descriptive in a way that's inappropriate and unnecessary, but it's descriptive in a way where your skin crawls a little bit. You're like, what the heck? Why is this happening? And it does a really good job of looking at both sides and obviously not defending this, or people who are I don't believe her, that's stupid. But it touches on every angle and wraps it all up in a nice little box with a beautiful bow on top. A beautiful, sad, depressing bow. I thought this book dealt with trauma really well, just in showing the way that it can affect you for literally the rest of your life in ways that you don't even know. The main character, I don't want to spoil it, maybe I'm trying not to spoil it, but the way that the main character has to come to terms with what happened to her, especially given the nature of the relationship, being someone who is so young and lured by this gross old man, and coming to terms with that trauma and not even really realizing that it was trauma. The author did such an amazing job. I absolutely loved it. I couldn't put it down, and I don't think you'll be able to put it down either. Before I go on, I would like to thank our fake sponsor, the Fine Print Bookstore. I work at the Fine Print Bookstore, and if you want to order a book from us and support a local woman-owned business, you should definitely check out the links that I have to our bookshop shop, where you can order books straight to your door. Go to Bookshop, and if you don't want to support ours, support another bookstore on Bookshop, because Bookshop is an amazing website that is trying and is actively saving bookstores all across the country. So thanks, Bookshop and the Fine Print. So yeah, that was a 5-star. And then after that, I hit the jackpot and I read another 5-star book. And I also read this book in like 4 hours. So I was like, oh my god, there's nothing better than 2 5-star books in a row and 2 5-star books that you finish in less than a day. Yes or yes. The next book I read was Red at the Bone by Jackie Wilson. Let me make sure I'm pronouncing that right. Jacqueline Woodson. I was close, bro. I checked out Red at the Bone like a while ago at the library, and I always would look at it and be like, that's the one I want to read next. That's the one I want to read next. And then I wouldn't, and then finally I woke up and was like, I'm gonna read this now. And I read it and was like, why did I wait so long to read this beautiful masterpiece of a book? Her writing was absolutely impeccable, outstanding. It was only like 200 something pages, but it made me want to cry the whole time. It was just so beautiful. How do I even describe it? What's it about? So it takes place at this girl, oh my gosh, I don't have it in front of me and I literally can't remember any of the characters' names. It's this young girl, it's her birthday or some big celebration and all of her family's gathered around. I don't really know how to describe this book, but I think you should read it because it's really good. It's very character centered and it does an amazing job of developing so many different characters in such a short amount of time and making you attached to them. Sorry. And then like ripping your heart out, all within the span of like 200 something pages. And the book is like this big. Like the book isn't like a 250 page but the pages are all that. No, it's tiny. Like it's a tiny book and it will make you feel everything. Everything. Anyway, did I say I gave that one 5 stars? I gave that one 5 stars. The next book I read, I also gave 5 stars. Wait, did I give 4 5 stars this month? I think I did. I think I gave 4 5 stars this month. Am I just not picky or were these good? No, these were all good. The next book, that was also a 5 star, was The Kiss Quotient by Helen.
pronouncenames.com.
The next book I read was The Kiss Quotient by Helen Huang, and oh my mother frickin' goodness. Another 5 star. I saw this on, it was either Noelle Gallagher or Kat's video, and I was like, that looks good, I'll add it to my list. And then I went to the library the next day and it was there and I was like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. Do I have all these books behind me that I need to, yeah. Yeah, I do. The Kiss Quotient is about a girl, what's her name? Stella. Oh, that's funny. I watched Stella Rae on YouTube and every time I saw that name, I was like, Stella Rae. Anyway. It's about this girl named Stella and she has Asperger's and she is trying to figure out this whole like love thing. She's like been with guys intimately before but like she's never liked it, and her mom is like, I want you to find a man's blah 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 or else I'm gonna start setting you up on blind dates. And so she's like, okay, I need to figure this out. Oh, she's also like an econometricist, something to do with economics or like figuring out like people's shopping patterns or something. So she's like really smart and good with math. So she's like, okay, if I just practice, I'll like it. So then she hires an escort named Michael, and then, you know, you'll find out in the story. It's so cute. It has all the elements of a romance book that I absolutely adore. The protective mans, the like, I hate everyone but you kind of mans, but not really, but like, oh, the man who like loves his mom and like cherishes his family and sisters. It was so good. I read it in 36 hours, I think. Well, not like consecutively, but within 36 hours it was finished. And I can't recommend it enough. It's literally the cutest book. It like the end, like towards the end I was almost like, you went down? Look at him. Look at what you've done. The next book I read had to be one of the most disappointing books I've ever read. Yoke by Mary H.K. Choi. I'm so sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. I have beef with Mary H.K. Choi. Her endings suck. I'm sorry, that's kinda mean. Okay, so last year I read Permanent Records by her. The cover, gorgeous. Hated it. Hated everything about it. During that time, I was like, okay, maybe I just don't like this main character because I found him really annoying. It's about this guy who's like living in New York. He's broke, doesn't know what he wants to do with his life, meets this girl who ends up being a famous person, and they like fall in love. Yoke is about these two girls who are sisters, and they both live in New York. The older sister gets sick and the younger sister is the only one who can help her. Once again, set in New York. Maybe it's me, I could literally give two shits about New York. I like have never understood the whole like infatuation with it, and like when I read about it in books, I'm just like, I really don't care that this is set in New York. This could literally be set in like Pittsburgh for all I cared. Didn't really care about that aspect of it, which I feel like is like an important element of the book. So I'm like, okay, already halfway gone. I have no interest in New York. I'm
just quirky and not like the other girls, I guess.
And somehow her main characters are always poor as living in New York, but never seem to have any problem with money. One of the characters in this book like lost her job like 2.5 months before the story even started, and like was fine, was still living in like a $3,000 or $3,500 a month apartment. Give me a little bit of something realistic, like a little something. Besides that, the main character was so unlikable, and so was her sister, and like so was every other character. Leave if you're like triggered by like eating disorder stuff. I warned you. I didn't hate the main character because she had an eating disorder. I don't want it to sound like that at all. I didn't like the execution of how they kind of how Troy covered the eating disorder. I was told it was gonna be one thing and it was another thing, and I actually do enjoy books like with characters who have like eating disorders and like mental illness like that and stuff, but I just want to know before going into it. And she did have like a trigger warning in the beginning. It's not like I'm not saying this because I was like triggered, but I just like wanted a book about sisters, and like one of them was sick, and like I didn't get that. Or at least I didn't fully get that. I don't know. What do you guys think? I would love to hear your guys' thoughts about Yoke, because I was feeling partially validated on Goodreads. A lot of people had the same criticisms as I did, and I was like, But overall, I gave Yoke 2 stars. Luckily, the next book I read, and this is literally the only book I have on hand with me that I read this month, Everything I Never Told You. Another 5 stars, baby. Celeste Ng can have my heart. She can spit in my face, and I would thank her. Her writing is absolutely some of the best I've ever read in my life. She is up there for me with Donna Tartt. These women write so well. They make me feel everything, okay? So anyway, Everything I Never Told You, 5 stars. It's about a family, and the favorite child dies, and they're trying to figure out how she died, what happened, what went wrong, and it like takes you through a bunch of flashbacks of different members of the family, and like describes how everyone feels, and it's like the growth. Oh my gosh, I love a good character development, and it was so good, and it was like not that long. It's like less than 300 pages. It just tied everything up so well. There are some authors who try to do like the whole flashback thing, and it just doesn't work. You're just kind of like, I don't care. I want to know what's happening now. The same thing with Little Fires Everywhere. I cannot recommend that book enough either. I read that book in like a day as well. It's an Asian American family in Ohio in the 1970s, and it like talks about the racism that they have to deal with. She takes all these different topics, much like Elizabeth Russell, and she actually executes every topic she's covering very well, unlike some other books I've read at Yoke. I literally cannot recommend that book enough either. And last but not least, graphic novel Sheets by Brianna Thumler. I give this book 4 stars. It was very wholesome. It was very, very sad. It's about this girl who runs her family's laundry shop, laundromat I guess, and is visited by this ghost, and she's dealing with her own grief from the loss of her mother. Well, I don't want to spoil it, but the ghost is dealing with grief of his own as well. There's just some antics that go on. They gotta save the family shop. It's so wholesome. It's so cute. The art is literally amazing, and it's just unbelievable, and I cannot recommend that graphic novel enough. So, well, I hear Pearl barking again, or starting to like growl like she wants to get in somewhere, so I have to go. But that is it for my monthly May wrap up. Let me know what you guys read this month of May. Let me know what you think of all these books I talked about. I'd love to like have a good old discussion about, you know, Yoke and why it sucked, and maybe the other books, and maybe you thought some of my 5 stars sucked. So let's talk about it in the comments below. That is it for today. Make sure to like and subscribe if you'd like to, and check out Bookshop if you want to support some local businesses. Keep the bookstores open, baby. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye!